This is Let's Talk Teens, a parenting podcast sharing tips on raising amazing teenagers. We are both certified life coaches that have worked with teenagers as coaches, mentors, and teachers. We are sharing what we have found to work best when dealing with teens and tough issues.
This is Let's Talk Teens with Abbi and Cheree, episode 70, How to Ease into the Preteen Transition.
Oh, Cheree, I have such a tender spot in my heart for little preteens. And to me, that's like 10, 11, 12, even 13-year-olds, right? Like
They're so cute.
they're
Yeah.
so cute, they're so little, but also they're going through puberty, their voice is changing, sixth grade to junior high to seventh grade. Like it is rocky. It is so rough. And so I was thinking about, okay, why is this such a hard transition and how can we make this easier for our youth? Because I do think that pre-teen age is so tricky. And a huge piece of why that is tricky is they're no longer little kids, and yet they still love little kid things, right? And so there's this really hard spot of like, oh, I still love Barbies and I still love My Little Pony and I still love this favorite movie of mine or my stuffies or a blanket, and yet I'm not allowed to anymore. Right? There's like this society expectation, this social expectation that I will leave behind my childhood things. And I think that is so hard.
It's so hard. So hard.
And as a parent, how, you can kind of see this because your youth might come to you one day and say, Mom, here's a box of all my stuffies I'm getting rid of, right? Or I don't want you to buy me any more of these, right? And as a mom, it guts my heart because I start to think, I spent so much money on that, or I saw you play with that, or I know you still love this thing, right? And that can be really hard as a parent. And so what I would suggest is we got to let them move on to new passions and new adventures and new personalities, and give space to that. And I was so grateful when my mom did this for me. She, on a couple of those items that are special for maybe multiple reasons or were given by a certain person, she put those away in a box for me. So they were out of my room so I could feel like I didn't have my childish things anymore. But she put those in a box for me so that when I was ready as an adult to rediscover that 13-year-old version of me that still loves all those things, that I had some things, right? That I was grateful I didn't get rid of as a kid. So if your preteen comes to you and is like, throw away, put a torch to all these childhood heirlooms that I once had, it's okay. Super normal. Maybe save a couple for them and just let them kind of explore this new personality and self that they're putting on.
Oh, such a good idea. Your mom's so brilliant to do that. That was fun.
I know. Well, and there's some things that I'm like, why didn't I save this? Right. And it's hard. I'm not going to pretend. It is so hard to know what to save and to what to not, because you're going to save things and give it to your kid and they're going to be like, thanks, and throw it away. Right. Or like, so that's not an easy thing, but let them, right, give them space to try on new personalities. That's another thing that preteens are going to do a lot of is maybe a new movie character or book character is going to become their whole new personality. And that's okay. It's actually super normal for their stage of development and what they're trying to do. So support their new passions. That could be something else that you do as well. So when they're like, hey, I'm kind of really into this new thing, support them in any way possible. Let them know how awesome you think that is.
I think that's such an important part of becoming, that whole preteen transition because really they're trying to find themselves outside of who they're in their little bubble of family and parents, right? They're starting to do this separation where they aren't just like their parents or they aren't this little girl and they really are becoming and finding themselves. And so I think it is let them explore that. They don't have to figure it out right away. They might find new things they like and then they might discard that and go to something else. It really is such an important discovery time in their life, like what they really like, what they don't like, why, what influences them. It's such an important part of development.
And that support can look like a lot of different things. It can be the support of, oh, okay, you're not going to sign up for orchestra this year. That's fine, right? There doesn't need to be a, do you know how long we've done lessons or whatever? Just be
Yeah.
like, okay, that's fine, right? Or they might want to hang out with friends that you've never met before, or maybe a new friend showed up and now they're not really friends with that person anymore, or at least they're not hanging out at your house. That's okay, right? That support could look like supporting new fashion, letting them change their hairstyle, their hair color, all those kind of things, and just being that guiding, supporting figure as they figure this out, instead of being opposition to that and saying, "What? Are you kidding me? Why are you getting rid of your My Little Pony collection?" Or "What are you wearing?" Right?
Mhm.
And we don't want to be that opposition through that transition.
And I think sometimes as parents, we're so afraid, like, maybe they have a new style and we're like, this is horrible. And so we want to
Are
say,
they going to keep it for forever?
yeah. And I think we just need to like, you know what? They're just figuring it out. They're just exploring and they'll probably come to it on their own that this isn't like the perfect style or really what they want to keep. They're exploring. Let them figure it out. Let them go through a ugly haircut or, a weird vibe in their clothing. It really is they're figuring out and it will pass. Like most of the time the weird stuff passes.
Yeah.
And I feel it's just them. It's letting them be them.
Well, and Cheree, you brought up this, you unlocked a memory for me. Um, in my junior high years, Twilight was like my whole personality and everything. And I remember when my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm going to cut my hair like this character Alice, and who she has super short hair, and I have never had super short hair. And I just feel like my parents handled this beautifully because we just because we support our teen and we're trying to let them explore, it doesn't mean that we have to let them make like all the decisions or that they have free reign. Because I remember telling my mom, Mom, I really want to cut like a lot of my hair off. And we talked about it for a long time, a lot of days. She was like, Well, before I just scheduled an appointment, because believe me, I was like, Mom, did you schedule my hair appointment? Come on. She was like, Okay, show me pictures of what you want, talk me through this. And then she helped me realize too, like, that's going to require a lot of styling. Like, and that's not something that I really knew how to do. And then she also shared with me, she's like, Hey, I'm not against this, but she's like, the reason I'm hesitant is I cut my hair that short when I was in like third grade and I didn't like it. And it took me years to regrow it, right? So she's like, I'm not saying no, I'm just telling you, like, I'm a little hesitant. Let's just take this slow. And then I think after that week, like it was an intense passion for a week, I realized, oh, yeah, I do not want to cut my hair like that, right? And so I was so grateful for healthy pushback and not a way of crushing my dreams, but in a way of going, hey, wear the t-shirt, wear the jewelry, but if we're going to make a change like cutting off all of our hair, let's think about this for a second, right? Let's not burn down the ship just yet, right? And I was really grateful for that pushback when that passion kind of ebbed and flowed.
I was thinking too, as you're talking about how good your mom was to have that conversation with you, but not to shut you down,
Hmm.
and how like that really does affect your relationship with your teen as they continue to progress and get older, and they naturally separate themselves a little bit from you and maybe don't share as much. I think when we can have those open conversations and allow kind of that, figuring out what styles they like without too much feedback, they're going to come to you more looking for your feedback
Yes.
as they continue to progress in those teen years, because as the preteen you didn't just shut them down. Like you were like, hey, well, what do you think, or why do you like this, and tell me what you're thinking here on this haircut. That allows this space of safety from this teen to say, okay, now when I think about something else in 2 years, I'm going to ask my mom her feedback. Maybe she has some experience that could be useful to me, because she didn't force me or like say this in a negative way. She just was like, hey, I want to understand.
Yeah. Well, and thinking about that as well, I remember about that age of like 12 years old, I really wanted this shirt that was in Hot Topic. Do you remember that store at the
Oh
mall?
yeah.
They're still around, but and I did. I liked that store, and I remember I was going with my grandma birthday shopping, and I was like, Grandma, can we go in here and look at this shirt I really want? And she was like, Oh, we cannot go in a store like that, right? Like she just had so many thoughts about it. And I remember being like, What is your deal? My parents let me go in here all the time, right? And so I just remember like that freedom of like, just because a teen wants to go shop in the Hot Topic that has the black and it looks a little intense doesn't have to mean anything, right? It could mean that they have the one thing that they want from a movie, right? And I just loved that there was a lot of freedom for me to like any story I liked or to like any movie I liked, right? And like I
And that
told,
didn't keep you from going into that store, did it?
no,
Just
it didn't. I was just like, okay, I'll go with my mom when I'm
yeah.
shopping with
But,
grandma.
but as parents, a lot of times we do that, and so then they're still just gonna sneak around and do it or do it by themselves. Like it's not gonna really stop them. So how great would it be for you to be like, okay, let's go in here and not be afraid of that?
No. And I guess the last thing on these beautiful little preteens is please continue to slather them in compliments and praise.
Yes.
Um, there, there's this natural transition that happens when we are so cute and little, that we can do no wrong. We might be covered in dirt from being outside, and our parents are like, "You are so cute. Let me take a picture of you," right? And yet our preteen kind of grows up and all of a sudden they don't want to hug you. All of a sudden their voice is changing. They might smell weird. Their hair, they've cut it in the latest style that you just do not see eye to eye with, right? And all of a sudden they're a little gawky, right? And guess what? That's a very natural stage. Even I'll never forget, we had kittens growing up and they went from this beautiful baby kitten, cutest thing in the world, to they would have a gawky stage where they're just a
Yep.
little too long, a little too thin, a little too like figuring out their full adult self. And that happens to us, right? But
Yep.
please do not stop telling them how beautiful they are, how cute they are, how much you love their style, how awesome they did in school, right? Like, don't let them disappear just because they're not going to be as in your face as they were as a kid saying, "Mom, what do you think about my outfit?" Or "Mom, look at my good grades," right? So just continue to slather on that praise because as they're figuring out their new body and their new voice and their new friends, they need to know that their parents have this constant adoration for them.
Abby, I think that one's my very favorite tip of all of them. I mean, all of them are so good, but I think that one is the most important because we really do, it becomes harder to compliment them and think they're cute and think they're amazing. And yet, it's one of the most important things we can do as a parent is to continue to build their self-esteem and help them by the things we say about them. And then it helps them think those things about themselves and believe those things.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think we think they don't need it as much.
oh, and they need it more.
They
They
do.
need it more. Yep.
So, parents, we hope that all these, there was like a little nugget that you could take away for working with your teen or your little preteen. And we just wish you the best of luck. This is a tough transition. I'm not gonna lie, I cried when my boy said he was over Lightning McQueen, right? Like, it's okay to have strong feelings about this stage of life too, but it is also an awesome one. So, good luck with your preteen, and we hope to see you in our next episode. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Teens with Cheree Murdock and Abbi Winslow. If you are looking for more tips to help your teenager, here's where you can find us. You can find Cheree Murdock on Instagram at Cheree Murdock Coaching or on her website, ChereeMurdock.com. You can find me, Abbi, on Instagram as Abbi Winslow or on my website, AbbiWinslow.com. Please rate and review our podcast and share with a fellow parent. Thanks for listening.